Hello everyone, welcome to the Sulong online sessions. My name is Rita Dayrit. I currently sit as Chairperson of ProLife Philippines Foundation. I am also the host and content creator of the weekly podcast under Faith Watch TV, Buhay Parang Life. You will notice that as I introduce myself, you will find two common words. That is life, because that is what I am. I am an advocate for family and life. Do you want to know how you can be an advocate for life? You have come to the right sessions. Okay, so let us now start. How to be unconditionally pro-life. First of all, let us define the term so that we know that, we are in the same page. What do you mean when we say unconditional? First of all, it means without limits. No barriers or no borders. As the Bible puts it, we do it in season and out of season, whether convenient or inconvenient. It means that we do it even when we are bashed, even when people get angry or fight us, even when our family does not seem to understand us. It is not limited to what is acceptable, to what is nice, or to what is convenient. We are never conflicted just because the world is saying another thing. We do it wholeheartedly. And any advocacy entails sacrifice. Any advocacy requires the advocate to get out of the comfort zone. But even outside the comfort zone, we do our mission without grumbling, without complaining. We do not lose heart because we do it unconditionally and wholeheartedly. Advocacy is not for the faint-hearted. And you say unconditional, and also when you say unconditional, it means complete, thorough, not in bits and pieces, not by parts, not missing out on any factor. Unconditional, complete, thorough, pro-life. What does being pro-life actually means? It means protecting life no matter the size. From the moment of conception, wherein some people say it is just a clump of cells or a speck of blood, to natural death. Even when people ask, why do we need to protect the life of the person who is suffering from terminal illness? Or why do we protect the life of this convict and not just put him in the death row? Because after all, he has committed a heinous crime. To be unconditionally pro-life is to protect the dignity of human life, no matter the size, no matter the circumstances. Why? Why do we need to be unconditionally pro-life? Because the unborn, they need an advocate. The unborn needs someone to reason out for them. There are more than 65 million abortions performed in the US alone. If the unborn are not alive or are not fully human, then it really doesn't matter. We don't have to bother. But the unborn, they are fully human. They are living and breathing human beings. Therefore, in the US alone, 60 million children have been killed. The unborn need an advocate. To those who say that they are just a clump of blood, they need an advocate. To those who say that they do not have rights until they are fully viable, until they are living independently out of a woman's womb. They need an advocate. To those who say that they are unaware of their own destruction and therefore it does not matter. They need an advocate for women who insist that they have the right to their own body. My choice. They need an advocate to those who insist that children are a burden, that it is so much better to kill the significantly handicapped or deformed child rather than bring them into the world because their lives would be sad and limited anyway. That they will just be a burden because they are expensive to take care of. The family, too, needs an advocate to those who say that marriage is out of style, that one has a right to choose the person or the entity that one desires to have a relationship with. We need to be unconditionally pro-life because there exists a legislative agenda. When we were fighting the RH bill in Congress, most legislators insist that there would be no abortion, that they just want reproductive health services available to everyone, that abortion will never be introduced. What is happening now? There is a move to decriminalize abortion, and they are saying that it will only be legal to victims of rape and or incest. We have to understand that our legislation is not really independent of outside forces. If you look deeply into the system, you will realize that there are governments, institutions that fund our law-making process so that anti-family and anti-life bills are introduced. Third, we need to be unconditionally pro-life. And there need to be many of us to drown the voice of the world that shouts inclusion, that shouts authenticity. If you look at it, there seems to be nothing wrong with this concept. We do not like to cancel people. We want to include everyone. But we need to remember that in including people, we also need to remind them, to teach them about the truth of their being. In encouraging authenticity, we need to remind people of their true selves, of the true meaning of their sexuality, of the true meaning of their being human beings. And what is the truth? The truth is that we were made in the likeness of God, our Creator. And yes, though we are truly, fully human, there is inside of us the divinity of Christ, that we are all beautifully and wonderfully made. And that it is not right to just focus on the happiness that we desire to achieve in our earthly life, because there is an afterlife. We are tripartite beings. The Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches us that we are body, soul, and spirit. And we cannot continue to feed the lust of the flesh. We cannot continue to feed the concupiscences of the flesh without losing the salvation of our souls. We need to be unconditionally pro-life and advocate for family and life, because the world, the next generation, need to hear the truth. We need to reveal the truth to those who desperately do not wish to see it, hear it, or even speak about it. Catholic theologian Father Donald J. Keefe once said, if Catholics would simply leave the sacrament of matrimony for one generation, the world would witness a transformation of society. Why did he say that? Simply because it is from marriage that life happens. That is the design of God. In marriage, you find the three goods, or the three bona, the essential properties of marital life, which distinguishes it from any type of other relationship between two people. These are openness to life, faithfulness, and permanence or unbreakable bond. If these properties are lived out by the married couple, then it will greatly impact society. A marriage that is open to life will create a society that is respectful of people. A marriage that is faithful will create a society that will be faithful to the duties of their state. It will bring forth a nation that will be faithful to their pledge of allegiance to their country. It will bring forth citizens whose officials will be faithful to the pledges of their public office. A marriage that is permanent will bring forth to the society children who will strive for permanence in their relationships because they have reaped the rewards of their parents' unbreakable marriage. These three goods should be present in a marriage. It is very difficult for marriage to last if one is lacking. There is a high percentage of infidelity, of lying in a marriage that contracepts. Why? Because they are in principle not fulfilling the vows they made before God and man during their marriage ceremony. They are in truth contradicting their vows. Contracept, contradict, contra, against the truth, so that they lie with their bodies. And when they lie, they continuously lie, and then lying becomes so much a part of their married life. Scott Hahn, in his book, The First Society, says that the family is in fact the first society. It is the first community in which children are raised. It is the first community where children learn how to respect or disrespect others. It is the first society wherein they witness the dynamics of human relationships. The family is the first society, the first community where they see the power of prayer, the power of forgiveness. It is where they witness the importance of making good decisions, the essentiality of good habits. So therefore, it is the family that gives society its form and structure. How well or how poorly families do their job will determine the structure and stability of the whole community, of the whole society, of the whole country, and yes, of the whole world. Knowing this now, we need to be, therefore, unconditionally pro-life. If we want a society where people are mindful and respectful of each other, if we want government officials that does not plunder the economy, if we want the young to be respectful towards their elders, to be respectful of tradition, then we need to be unconditionally pro-life. How do we get to this level? First of all, it is good to identify your beliefs. What do you believe about being open to life? When you see a mom struggling, for example, with 5 children, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? In identifying your beliefs, you will find out that many times our beliefs have been influenced by what we heard from our parents or other people around us who had a strong influence on us as we were growing up. If, for example, you grew up in a home with a stay-at-home mom who is constantly complaining about the difficulty about, being very tired of having to take care of, say, 6 children, then it is possible that in your young mind, you will tell yourself that you will not have as many children or maybe no children at all because they are such a burden. Or perhaps you heard your parents say that all their children are just accidents, that they never planned to have all these children, then that could lead you to feel unwanted and unappreciated. Our beliefs influence our thoughts and expectations, which in turn affect our emotions. If you are a young child, if you as a young child believe that children are a burden and believe that you were unwanted in the family, then perhaps when you hear about this openness to life concept, then it is possible that as you are listening right now, that you are unbelieving or maybe even disgusted or not happy about what you are hearing. To your mind, you want to be in control of your body, of your reproductive system, and therefore, these beliefs can lead you to contracept. Our emotions affect our behavior. How do we behave when we are with big families? Do we show irritations at young children playing around? Do we show with our body language, our facial expressions, our discomfort? What do we tell women, or how do we behave towards women who are in their, for example, 7th pregnancy? How do we behave? How do we behave toward those who are differently challenged? How do we deal with the elderly who suffer from dementia? Do we secretly laugh at them and make fun of them? So therefore, in order to be unconditionally pro-life, we should identify our beliefs and challenge them. We should also be mindful of our speech. From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. And our words, are our words life-giving or life-destroying? Do we bless or do we curse? Do we speak words that heal or words that hurt? In Ephesians, it is written, "Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear." Do we practice good manners and right conduct? These are very basic things that we should observe, because in so doing, we give respect to the sensibilities and sentiments of others. Even knowledge of the rules of protocol and etiquette in life is life-giving, because when you accord people and cultures the respect that they deserve, then you are giving them life. What about our appearance? How do we dress up? Do we provoke malice from others, or do we project someone who is worthy of respect? Earlier, I said that we need to speak the truth, even those who desperately do not want to see it, to speak it, or to hear it. And we should do so with intelligence, diligence, and yes, with compassion. We cannot accomplish our task by simply winning arguments. We are not here to win arguments. We must focus on winning hearts. We must focus on change of developing consciences. We must focus on duplicating ourselves. We must focus on building a nation that is unconditionally and persuasively pro-life. Thus we speak charitably, intelligently, and persuasively, relying only on facts. We make clear and simple arguments. We are brief and always mindful that there could be in our audience women who have undergone abortion, couples who contracept, people in unconventional partnerships. Because as we speak, it could be that they too are suffering quietly. And so yes, they deserve our compassion. We should not go into religious arguments, because religion does not resonate well to the civil society. But rather, our rebuttal should be pro-science, because there is an overwhelming scientific consensus that life begins at conception. Our rebuttal should be based on social justice, because every living human being is entitled to equal protection under the law. And the most fundamental of all human rights is the right to life. Our rebuttal should give the message that we are pro-woman, realizing that abortion degrades the woman, treating their fertility as a defect. Our rebuttal should be that we are against violence, because abortion is not only immoral, but it is also an act of extreme violence against the most innocent and vulnerable. Study. We need to study, learn from the experts, read books, and ensure that what you are reading, who you are learning from, are truly and wholeheartedly, unconditionally pro-life. When did I start being an advocate for life? In 1998, the pilgrim tilma of Our Lady of Guadalupe was brought to our parish. Being a member of the Daughters of Mary Immaculate, we were tasked to welcome, ensure the vigil to the tilma, and to take care of the closing ceremonies. At the closing, I found myself incessantly crying in front of the tilma. I could not understand myself. That was the first time, honestly, that I have learned of Our Lady of Guadalupe. That was the first time I have seen the tilma. But I was not new to statues and religious articles. I was, after all, brought up in a very Catholic home and even wore the habit of Our Lady of Lourdes as a young girl. After the pilgrim tilma left the parish, I researched about Our Lady of Guadalupe and learned that she was the secondary patroness of the Philippines and the patroness of the unborn. So this mission of protecting life have been planted in my heart by Our Lady herself. I realized too that one of the missions of our organization, the Daughters of Mary Immaculate, is in the promotion of life. So I researched for groups and organizations, and my research brought me to the office of ProLife Philippines Foundation. I borrowed materials, I asked questions, and asked to be part of their network so that I could learn more about the advocacy. So I started to get invitations to attend talks and conferences. One time, I went to Mass at church in Magallanes and there saw an announcement for a talk on the reproductive health bill. I attended, and there I met Father Melvin Castro, who to this day is the spiritual director of ProLife Philippines Foundation. It is in these conferences that the founder of ProLife Philippines spotted me, the late Sister Pilar Versosa. She would text me from time to time, and then one day, about 12 years ago, she invited me to be a trustee of the foundation. As a trustee, I encountered passionate advocates for life. I would listen intently to their discourse, and I would go with them to congressional hearings. Little by little, I learned about the legislative agenda and the battle that is before us. The rest, as they say, is history. So if you want to be an advocate, it is good to be part of the group, a foundation, a community, because it is difficult to do it alone. You will go farther if you do it with others. My membership in the board of ProLife Philippines has brought me to many places around the country. I have, as Pope Francis described it in his book, Evangelii Gaudium, have smelled like sheep in trying to educate the Filipinos on the evils of contraception, on the evils of the legislative agenda. I have made friends, I have made enemies, and the road ahead still looks very, very rough. So I beg of you, be unconditionally, persuasively, and intelligently pro-life. We claim the promise in scriptures, choose life so that you and your descendants may live. Thank you for listening. I hope that you have learned a lot from my talk. Make sure that you also attend the other talks. Maraming salamat po. This is Rita Dayrit telling you today, I am glad that you were born.